Welcome to Philosophy and Critical Thinking, the Basics. In our last video, we discussed John Rawls and Robert Nozick's views on distributive justice. In this video, we're going to talk about justice regarding punishment. Regarding theories of punishment when describing justice in philosophy, there are typically 5 different theories. The first one is deterrence. The second is desert. The third is communication. The fourth is containment. And the fifth is expressivist. With the theory of deterrence, as the name implies, the object of punishment is to try and deter something. This can be thought in 2 ways. One can be to deter the criminal, the person who committed the crime, from reoffending. So we punish them for what they did so they won't do it again. The other way we can think of deterrence is to deter others from potentially offending. So if someone's walking around and they see someone commit a crime and see that they get punished for it, they will potentially not do that crime because they saw what would happen to them if they did. So this is typically the idea of justifying punishment via deterrence. Now on to desert. This is probably the more common way most people will justify punishment, and that's whether or not the criminal deserves that punishment. So the degree of punishment or the whether they should be punished at all will depend on whether they deserve it or not. So the desert justification is purely on whether they deserve it. The question of whether it will deter or not doesn't come up. We just want to ask, do they deserve it? Now on to communication. Some may recognize this as rehabilitation, but in philosophy we use the term communication for this justification for punishment, is that we're trying to use the punishment to show the criminal what they did wrong, to give them the opportunity to reflect on what they did and see that they did the wrong thing, and then they won't do that in the future. They will not because of deterrence, not because they're afraid of the further punishment, but because the way the punishment was conducted, they have seen the error of their ways and they want to be a better citizen. So this is the communication justification for punishment, as opposed to desert and deterrence. Containment is the justification of punishment to keep criminals away out of society, or to put constraints on the criminals so they cannot reoffend. So it's even if they want to, they can't. So putting someone in prison is a form of containment. Like, so you say you're not concerned about communication or desert or deterrence, you're not worried about that. We're not really bothered with that. We just want to make sure that they're out of the way and not hurting anyone else in society. And there can be other versions of containment which aren't that extreme. For instance, say if you're caught drink driving and you lose your license, that's a weaker form of containment, that they've taken away your ability to drive because you're a risk to others given your previous behavior of driving, and until you can show that you've not going to be at risk of behaving in that way, you can get your license back. So these are forms of punishment via containment. The last justification for punishment is expressivism, or the expressivists' view of punishment, which is that the punishment we give reflects the level of condemnation or outrage expressed by the society. So, for instance, like there might, instead of arguing over all the other criteria of whether it's good to keep them out of the way via containment, or that we're trying to communicate something to them, or we're trying to see how much they really deserve the punishment or how much it's going to deter, we'll just say, no, this punishment is to show the world or to show everyone this is what we think of this kind of behavior. So it's this is how we express our view of these kinds of crimes. So that's the expressivist view of punishment. If you want more information, you can go onto the website www.philosophycriticalthinking.com. In our next video, we're going to be discussing the free will problem in philosophy. If you want to stay in tune for that, please subscribe and click the bell. Thanks.